All right, is it live? Am I streaming? Oh, there we go. Okay, let's play it. I'm back. Turn it down a little bit. So I got a QR code up there. This is appointments to office hours, student hours that I have here for all of my students here. You can set up an appointment either via Zoom or on campus with me. Turn it down. It's a little loud in my headphones there. So welcome back. This is Student Hours Live with Professor Clavell. I'm going to go over a couple of things. I'm just going to bring this into announcements, so I'll talk a little bit about the announcements here. I'm a little hot. Let me turn this down. Right there. So I'm going to go over some announcements. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of a regional anatomy. So talk about some of these bones, talk about these muscles and how they attach into bones, and kind of give us a little pathway as to how we're going to be looking at the rest of the semester here. So again, I have the QR code up here for office hours, like student hours. If you want to set up a schedule, an appointment with me, you just scan the QR code up there. It'll set you to a web page where you set up a 30-minute appointment, whether online or in person. And I look forward to hanging out and meeting with you guys here. Oh, let me throw my slides up. Let's go to monitor 2. And we'll build that up there. Here we go. Welcome to week 7 of the semester. We'll be looking at bones. So we'll continue our passageway through the anatomy and physiology of the body by looking at the dense tissue we identify as bone. And now, just because bone is dense doesn't mean that it's or hard and almost feels inert, doesn't mean that it's not a living tissue just like any of these other living tissues. But some of the features of bones, like their hard cortical features, allow us to see them through x-rays and through palpation. So palpation is the ability to use my fingers or touch to assess different regions or identify different regions on the body based on touch, right? Palpation. And so what we have here, a good old x-ray of the, what's this? This looks like the left shoulder, right? So how do I know it's the left shoulder? A couple of features here that allow me to do so. If I take a look at starting with the proximal, let's go proximal here. So we can see this feature right here, that's the clavicle, that's my collarbone. If I start proximally from my collarbone, that's my sternum. And as if I follow the clavicle out to the side here, you'll find your AC joint, your acromioclavicular joint, that little point at the top of your shoulder there. And then off to the humerus, or the arm of the greater bone here, the humerus. I can type that out for you. Or actually, I'll just circle it. Right, there's the humerus. And so we're looking at a left shoulder, a left humerus, as this patient is facing us. We can see the ribs, the scapula, and some of the features of the cervical spine. Let's see if I can even zoom in a little bit for you guys. It's a really cool picture. Hope we can appreciate it here for a moment. So you can see even some of the portions of the cervical spine here. And so we can delineate the cervical or the neck. So there's a transverse process. That's a feature of, looks like a cervical spine. And then we have the first rib here. So now we have the features of the thoracic spine. So all your ribs attached to the thoracic spine. And so we have the features of the cervical spine down into the ribs here. But you guys will get to become experts on all of these features as the semester progresses on here. I'll keep my chat on my phone if anybody's wondering. But let's bring it to the announcements portion of here as we get a little bit of the housekeeping items away. We're looking at week 7 of the semester. Welcome and congratulations as we continue on here through Anatomy and Physiology, Bio 201. This is the spring semester of 22, right? And so the reading here will include Chapter 7 reading and lecture. That's available on Canvas. I can show you where that is. But the theme is going to be looking at the axial skeleton as well as the appendicular skeleton. So Chapter 7 goes over the axial skeleton. What is the axial skeleton, you may be asking? Well, it's the most medial portion of my body, the bones that make up my skull, my vertebrae, my thoracic cage, including my sacrum, thoracic cage, and then down to the vertebrae, including the sacrum, I should say, as well as the appendicular skeleton. Chapter 8 there, appendicular skeleton, we're looking at the arms and legs, but not only the arms and legs, the girdles that they're attached to. So you have a pectoral girdle, this clavicle that attaches to the scapula, which is the pectoral girdle, often referred to as the shoulder girdle. And then the hip joint, hip girdle, the coaxial that attaches to the femur that gives way to our hip joint. So those two are associated with the appendicular skeleton here. So arms and legs versus the axial skeleton are spine, thoracic cage, and skull. Lab assignments 5 and 6. Those lab assignments 5 and 6 are all related to bones, right? If you've seen lab assignment 5 is identifying these anatomical features on bones, and we'll go over a little bit of that here this afternoon. First portion of lab assignment 5 asks you to indicate the different portions of bone as a tissue, right? So we've seen these different cells and the different portions of bone where it gets its nutrients. And so the first portion of the assignment number 5 identifies bone as a tissue, and then we move into bone as an organ or even an organ system. These different bones that come together to make the skeletal system. And not only should we know each and every one of these bones, that's pretty obvious, all 206 of those bones there, but we should also be familiar with some of their bony landmarks, we should call them, or their osteological features, these features on the bones that give way to things like tendons, ligaments, neurovascular vessels, let me say it that way. So arteries, veins, and nerves, neurovascular vessels that run through them. So this is the basis of our understanding behind surface anatomy, or even just like anatomy in general, right? Like if we can get a good idea or a good understanding of these osteological features, these bony features that are associated in different regions of the body, then we can also start to really understand what other tissues are surrounding them. So our bones can be the landmarks. And then by doing so, using those landmarks of our bones, we can also start to find all those other features, where the muscle inserts into it, right? Where the tendon is, where the ligament is. And that's a lot of the features I use oftentimes when I'm using like ultrasound, right? I'm using ultrasonography to help identify different features. All right. Look out for quiz number 6. I actually kind of took a break from making quiz number 6 here to hop on here and talk to you guys. So pulled me away from doing some work. No, I look forward to it. Today should be a day off, but I'm just hollering at you because it's been so long. Been so long since I've seen you guys and talked to you. So I look forward to seeing my Tuesday, Thursday class on Tuesday, my Monday, Wednesday class on Wednesday here. And everybody's out there having a good George Washington's birthday or President's Day, I guess we can call it, whatever we want to call it here. But let me take you to your canvas here. Let me hop onto your canvas, show you some of the sweet things we got going on. While I take you to canvas here. Make sure that, yeah, nobody's on the chat. All right. So the next feature that I'm going to do here is open up your canvas. Here we go. I'll give you the student view. Oh, let's go to modules. Now in modules here, what you'll see is there's a new feature, and that feature will be, scroll all the way down there, bones of the skeletal system. So this is a kind of a cool feature here that I'd invite you to look at. It's called bones of the skeletal system. So if you click on there here, you'll see all of these kind of bones, these cool bones here that are all going to be associated with the bones that we'll be looking at. So we can see here, we'll be looking at some of these bones here. You got the, see if I can't zoom in just a bit. There we go. Bones of the skull. Right, these 22 bones that make up the skull and facial features. We should know all familiar with these bones there. As well. So we should get these bones that should be kind of familiar with us, and these inferior nasal concha and the middle nasal concha. So we're looking at these. Where's my annotations? There, these little tool features here. Right there. Just a little curl there. Curl there. There. Just right there. And so we'll be taking a look at those types of features there. Oh. And so this, again, this is found underneath the labeled blue link bones, there. And so one thing that I did want to review with you guys today is just take a look at what we're doing here as we go on into the features of the bones. We'll start by looking at these bones, and then when we look at bones, we'll also see that, did I get it? No, let's do it this way. There we go. When we look at these bones, we'll also see that these features allow us to find some really hard landmarks of the body here. So we'll start by just let's take a body part here, and the body part we're going to look at is going to be the arm. Let's take a look at the left arm because I think that's a cool feature to look at. So let's look at the left arm here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. You know what? Let's do it here. I'm going to switch modes here for you. We'll zoom in here. And so here we got the clavicle here. We've got the scapula, humerus, and then those two bones that make the lower arm. If I zoom out just a touch here, we can see all these bones here. And you can even see there's our shoulder blade bone. It's got quite a few features, right? We can see that there's a spine to it. So this is referred to as the spine of the scapula. The area above the spine is the supraspinous fossa. Below the spine, we have the infraspinous fossa. You've got a medial border, a superior angle. So this is the superior border. And then there's a lateral border here. So you can see the features here of the scapula. If we zoom in, we can also see some of the features of the humerus. So we can see that there's a head to this humerus. That's like the bulb or the enlarged portion of the humerus here. That's an articulation point for what we may refer to as the glenoid fossa. So you've got the glenoid fossa right here. Two prominent features of the scapula also include the coracoid process and the acromion process. The acromion process here. So then you can see there's kind of a greater and lesser tubercle. These two kind of bony ridges here that you can see. Oh, let's tilt it forward there. Can you see those kind of ridges on the humerus? I'll maybe even highlight there. Right there and right there. These kind of ridges that allow, and it allows for, for a little groove, right? A groove. A groove in between the two ridges here. And so if we zoom out there, now what is that importance, right? So, well, if we added, let's see if we can't add a little bit of a little bit of muscle tissue to this guy here. Let's go back here. So let's zoom in here again one more time to the arm. We're going to add a little bit of muscle tissue here. Here. There we go. We're going to add a little bit of tissue here. So we'll add one layer. There we go. You see, now we can add some muscles here to this region. We can see that this humerus and scapula are now filled with muscles. You can see above the spine of the scapula, you've got a muscle group called the supraspinatus muscle here, one of the rotator groove muscles. You've got an infraspinatus muscle that encapsulates this posterior portion of the humerus, inserts into the tubercle at that posterior portion, and then the teres minor here, teres minor. And now look at this. Take a look at this. One a very common muscle that we are all familiar with, the biceps muscle. So we'll just take a look at the biceps muscle here. So the biceps muscle has an insertion point right here at the coracoid process. An insertion point right at the coracoid process. And then there's a tendon, right? There's a long tendon here. That's the biceps tendon that runs down from the portion of the scapula. You can see that right there. We're right in the scapula here. This is the supraglenoid tubercle, so the glenoid fossa. You can see there's a supraglenoid tubercle, runs down. And we're starting to take a look there at the biceps tendon, runs down anterior and makes a bicep there, referring to two, right? Two heads of the biceps tendon there. It actually comes down, inserts on the radial tuberosity here. So if we get deep into there, you'll see that it inserts right into the, let's start dissecting some muscles away. Cut sounds good. No, we want to dissect. There we go. We'll hide the pronator. And there it is. There's its insertion point right there on the radial tuberosity. So you can see that this muscle is responsible for a little bit of elbow flexion, but as well supination. So it's also a powerful supinator, so responsible for bringing my palm up there. So you can see that this is one muscle, right? Has a number of attachment points, including the, let me get back to where I was here, including the coracoid process, the supraglenoid tubercle, so this region above there, and then inserts all the way down into the radial tuberosity. Now let's put another layer on top of that now. So if now we take that, and now we're going to put another layer on top, and we're going to turn the nervous system on. Let's get enough layers here to innervate the bicep now. Now, coming out of the neck is a group of nerves called the plexus. So you've got the brachial plexus. Do you see under this collarbone here? Let's take out your clavicle, because what do you need a clavicle for, right? So there's your clavicle. Bang. And it'll take out subclavius. And look at this kind of funky group of muscles here. Excuse me, nerves. You see this kind of right there? This grouping, looks like spaghetti. Which nerve is which? We'll even take out a little bit of pec minor, because pec minor can also, look at it. And so look at this anatomy. Gives us kind of some features here. Now we can see that pec minor is a muscle that can have a little bit of an effect, or can have an effect, on the brachial plexus, the nerves of my hands and fingers, but we'll get rid of it so it doesn't. And so here we are. There's the brachial plexus, and then one of this brachial plexus, one of these nerves here, is going to be responsible for innervating the biceps muscle. It's known as the musculocutaneous. Maybe there's a little branch of the musculocutaneous nerve here. Let's see if I can. There it is. Yep. There's the antebrachial cutaneous nerve. We are looking for in fact, maybe we might have to take the biceps muscle away here. There. Click on it real closely here. The musculocutaneous nerve. This nerve here, and look, it comes all the way from that branch here of the brachial plexus. Right there. So that's how we're going to put it together this semester here. We'll find all of these bony landmarks. We'll identify where they feature on the body. We'll put muscles to them, where the attachment points can be. And then ultimately, we're going to bring it together with the nervous system here all together. All right. I hope everybody's having a happy and safe day out there. But I'm going to get back to work here. I'm going to get back to grading, making some quizzes, getting prepared for all this assessment type of things. But again, I recommend setting up appointments with me. I guarantee it's going to help you out your grade here, and getting in touch with me, as well as studying hard. This is a very dense amount of work here that they're going to ask you to know. So again, I'm here for you guys. I support you guys. You're going to do great. We'll continue down this pathway here of anatomy and physiology as we close it out just a little bit.